Hey guys, American Pizza Books here. So I'm sorry it's been a while. I don't even know how long it's been, but I've just been busy with like work and stuff like that, and school started recently again. So I haven't been able to upload really to this channel, but I do have some time now, and I've read several books since then. So I just wanted to get a few book reviews out on this channel as soon as I can. Hopefully, I'm able to upload these soon. I've been having some trouble downloading videos onto my laptop and uploading them from there, but we'll see. Anyways, I am back with another book review today, and the book I'm going to be reviewing is Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. Now, I've wanted to get into Anne Rice for a while. I actually started reading Interview with the Vampire back in 7th grade, but I put it down for whatever reason. There were a few books I put down back in 7th grade. I wasn't as big a reader then as I am now. But yeah, so I wanted to just pick this back up and start over because I actually did read The Vampire Lestat, which is the second book in this Vampire Chronicles series, which is what it's called. It's called the Vampire Chronicles series, and Interview with the Vampire is obviously the first book of the series. But yeah, I just wanted to start back from the beginning because obviously I wouldn't have remembered what happened. And there was actually a movie called Interview with the Vampire based on the first book, obviously. And it came out in 1994. It had Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, Kirsten Dunst, Antonio Banderas. I mean, it had a pretty solid cast of pretty well-known actors. So, I mean, and the movie was pretty good, and I'd say for the most part it followed the book pretty well. It left out a few things, but nothing essential or anything. I mean, it still tells the overall story. But basically what this book is about is this interviewer, hence the title, Interview with the Vampire. This interviewer does an interview with a vampire named Louis, and it's basically just Louis telling his life story and how he became a vampire, and the vampires he encountered, and just how he came to be, where he is at the present time and everything. So Louis is basically your main protagonist. Lestat is also, and Lestat will be a big character down the road in this series, but Lestat is also another character. In this book, he's kind of almost made out to be the villain, but I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I mean, he's basically the antagonist in this book, but you've come to find out that he's really not a villain. He's more of an anti-hero than anything. But in this book, he's made out to be the antagonist. Louis is basically the protagonist. You've also got Claudia. You've got Armand, who Lestat and Claudia encountered later on in the book. You've got a bunch of different characters in this universe, but in this one you've got those characters, and that's basically what it's about. I mean, I'm probably not going to go into any more detail than that. It's basically just Louis, this vampire, telling his life story. On to what I thought of the book. I thought it was a good book. I have actually I've read since I've actually also read The Vampire Lestat, and since I've read this book, and this one is good. Don't get me wrong, it's very good, but I would say it's probably not as good. I don't know about the other books, because I've only read this and The Vampire Lestat so far, and there's a bunch of books in the series, but I would say this book is pretty good, but not as good as The Vampire Lestat, but still pretty good. I thought Louis was a likable enough protagonist, maybe a little sulky at times, a little bit too sulky at times, but I mean, I found him to be a pretty likable character for the most part. Lestat was a very lovable villain, at least in this book. Claudia, I don't know. I almost found Claudia a little I understood why she was the way she was in this book. I understood why she was as she got, because basically if you haven't seen the movie and if you haven't read the book, Claudia is a little girl when she becomes a vampire. So basically over time she becomes a grown woman trapped in a child's body. So when she finds out what happens to her and who did it to her, she's not happy at all. So I understand why Claudia is the way she is in this book, but I still kind of found her a little irritating at times. But overall, I mean, she's an interesting character too, I suppose. So I mean, as far as the characters go, I mean, Anne Rice has wrote some very, I'd say some characters with some depth to them, with some pretty good depth, I'd say. The universe that she created with her vampires is just I mean, it's just unlike any other. I mean, she created a franchise. I mean, this book right here came out in 1976, so this book is actually it's a little old actually. It's about 42. I think it's like, yeah, 42 years old. So I mean, it was way before the Twilight shit and all that stuff. I mean, these are actual vampires, that burn up in the sun and everything and stuff like that. But no, Anne Rice, I'd say the characters overall are very good. The story, I mean, it's a little unique because it's all within an interview. This guy's interviewing Louis and everything, and so Louis is just telling it through this interview. But it was a pretty fascinating story. I'd already seen the movie a bunch of times, so I pretty much knew what was gonna happen overall. Like I said, there's some things the movie leaves out, but overall I knew what was gonna happen. But the story is still pretty good. The characters, the story. I had fun with the book. There were times, and this is something that Anne Rice has been criticized for in the past but like, she does tend to, I think they call it purple prose, which is basically just when the author goes into a lot of detail about things that don't really need to be, like, that things that the author doesn't really need to go into detail about that they do anyway. Just kind of in meandering details and everything. That happened sometimes in this book, but it didn't happen enough to like make me not enjoy it or anything. Like it sometimes it happened, but most of the time it wasn't too bad or anything. Like, not enough to make me not like the book. But I mean, even with that, I mean, I'm not knocking Anne Rice as a writer. I mean, she's a very good writer. That's kind of just one flaw I see in there. I don't know what else. The ending is, it's a little different from the movie, because in the movie, the interviewer kind of reacts the same way in the book and the movie, like but like in the end, it's a little different. Like, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to spoil anything, but well, okay, this is gonna be a little spoiler. So if you don't want spoilers for the book or the movie or whatever, if you're interested in seeing it, or if you just don't care, then, well, I mean, if you don't care, keep watching. But if you don't want to hear a spoiler, then might just mute this or something. But at the end of the movie, at the end of the movie, Louis basically just scares the interviewer off. Like the interviewer is saying, is basically like talking about how, what he wouldn't give to live the same life, and then Louis kind of intimidates him, and then Louis kind of runs off, and then the interviewer escapes. But in the book, at the end, Louis actually bites the interviewer. But he doesn't go all the way and turn him into a vampire. So it's kind of left up to interpretation what happens afterwards. But in both the movie and the book, it seems like the interviewer missed Louis' point entirely in his whole story that he told. So there was that. So it kind of left it left you hanging a little bit. And Anne Rice actually said that she had never planned to make this into a series. Like, this was going to be a standalone novel, but obviously she ended up making a series out of it, thankfully. And I believe the interview actually shows up later on in the series as a character. I believe so. I don't know, but I believe so. So yeah, the ending was interesting. The story was interesting for the most part. The characters were all very good and their roles and everything. And obviously, these characters, with the exception of a few, show up later on in the series and in the other books in the series, so you get to see them again. But yeah, I mean, everything was good, except for the purple prose occasionally. And I don't know. There were times when, like, the dialogue, like, because this does take place in like the late 1700s, like. The time span, it goes from like the late 1700s all the way to like the late 1800s, if I remember correctly. So, the dialogue, it's more fit to the time. So sometimes I had to go back and like read what actually was said, or sometimes Anne Rice would just like write a line where like I was like, wait a minute, what was she saying? So I had to go back and read it a few times, and then I was like, oh, okay, that's what she was saying. All right. So that's another kind of, I guess, kind of knock, but not really, kind of. But yeah. Anyways, I don't know what I'm saying. Um, but other than that, I mean, I'd say it was pretty good. Like I said, not as good as the later books in the series, but this one was good. I'd give it like a 3.5 out of 5, maybe like a 3.5 out of 5. Maybe a 4. I don't know. Maybe like a 3.75 out of 5. I don't feel like it's quite a 4-star novel, but I feel like it would be like a not just a 3-star novel, but not quite a 4-star novel. So I'd say it's in between 3 and 4. Not a bad novel by any means, but I mean it's I'd say it's good, but definitely not the best in the series. I mean I'd say the next book in the series, The Vampire Lestat, which I will be doing an interview review on as well. But yeah, yeah, I'd say this one isn't as good as the later books in the series, particularly The Vampire Lestat. But anyways, that's jumping ahead again. So yeah, that's been the book review for Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that. So and if you've read this book, let me know what you think, or if you've seen the movie, let me know what you think, or just let me know what you think in general. So yeah, that's it for this one, and I'll talk to you guys later. So peace and keep on reading.